Suzanne Dhaliwal, and I'm the director and founder of the UK Tar Sands Network. I work with frontline Indigenous communities to resist extractivism through corporate power, financial power, and I also work as a creative to find ways of organizing and communication that can ensure that we create modes of organizing and ways of engaging with cultural practice that doesn't replicate white supremacy. I think first and foremost, creativity is a shift in perception, and it's a philosophical practice. And as we know, we cannot solve a problem with the same way of thinking that created it. So I think shifting the way that we're thinking, seeing how we see is a crucial part of decolonizing. How we create society, how we build, all of those decisions are part of creating this future. And within that, we can use artworks, interventions to sort of lay that bare. And I think that artists can work with the strange, work with the bizarre, and to reveal what's happening, and also to open up the potential of imagining new ways forward. Decolonization has become used so much recently, and I think it's really important that we realize that when we talk about decolonization, it has to be connected to the land. It has to be connected to sovereignty and to the struggles of Indigenous folk, Black and Brown communities who have been resisting patriarchal, white supremacist extractivism on their territories for over 500 years. So although diversity and representation within media is a part of that, without being connected to the land, to those communities, we're doing a real disservice to decolonization. In this moment that we're in with the complexities of coronavirus, climate catastrophes, increasing fascism, often the only thing I think about is I'm trying to imagine a future where I'm actually there, where the people that I love are there, and the communities that have been resisting extractivism are there. So we're very much working from a survival point at this time. And so I think the way that we get there is to be in deep solidarity, a deep realization of how we got to this point, and not get stuck in guilt and shame, but to move through that complicity and to realistically start moving our resources, our capacities in service of that aim as well, so that we're not only surviving this moment, we're actually reinforcing and removing the conditions that allowed us to be in this crisis at this time as well. Climate actions for me are often, I think of them as a microcosm of the world that we're trying to create. We create interventions, that we do them in consultation, that we do them in dialogue, that we center those voices that have been marginalized, that we create pathways for people to be involved in them, that we notice our ableism, our attention to those who've been left out of that process, and constantly think about bringing them into that practice. And I think sometimes those things are considered soft or care, or they can be thought about later, but enacting those principles and those practices is essential to any kind of interventions that we create. I think also we often need a break as people of color, because we're constantly thinking about surviving, about the devastation that we're going through. There's also a sense of time traveling, and this time traveling goes backwards and it goes forwards, and we think about our ancestors past and also becoming future ancestors. First thing to do is to be quiet and to stop and look around and think about and research those communities, those people who have been holding this struggle for 500 years, and then to look at the resources that you have and how can they be in service of what is already happening. And sometimes that's the most difficult thing to do, because we want to bring innovation and we equate creativity with newness, and there can be newness and there can be innovation. But if we add an element of what I call seva in the Sikh tradition, which is service, then it's rethinking about how can you bring your skills and innovation to what is already happening. For instance, we have so many climate catastrophes, and I would love to see an app that, you know, gets the message out, gets resources to frontline communities. I created a sculpture a while back, which was a megaphone, and I reversed the engineering of the megaphone so that it actually became a listening device. And a lot of my practice is around listening. When a climate catastrophe hits, when a community is being inundated with extractivism, the first port of call is to stop and to listen and to take in information about what is happening on the ground. How does that relate to where I am geographically in relationship to corporations and banks and power that's driving that? And to then come to that process with empathy and care of responding. You know, we're in a moment where never before have digital communications brought us the realities of front lines of climate catastrophes and also resistance. So we're really blessed in a strange way with this moment that we can sit and filter through information. We can amplify those folks on the ground that are doing this work. And I think also use this coronavirus time to think about how you want the future to look and work your way backwards. You know, many of us have started to grow food on our balconies. We've disconnected from business as usual already because we're never going back to that world. And so think about how you can enact that future in your daily life as well.